All right. Oliver Anthony is the band name. Let me get rid of these overlays. That is not this artist's name. We're going to start with the intro by this guy who has released a song that he didn't even think would make this much of an impact, but he's kind of saying what everyone's thinking. That's why the song has blown up so much. So if I could get this set up right, we are going to start with his introduction that he has released. And I got the wrong tab up. Yes, let's share this. I'll go ahead and read it. It's going to give you guys an introduction to who this guy is. It's been difficult as I browse through 50,000 messages and emails I've received in the last week. The stories that have been shared paint a brutally honest picture: suicide, addiction, unemployment, anxiety, and depression, hopelessness, and the list goes on. I'm sitting in such a weird place in my life right now. I never wanted to be a full-time musician, much less sit at the top of the iTunes charts. Draven from Radio WV, and I filmed these tunes on my land with the hope that it may hit 300,000 views. I still don't quite believe what has went on since we uploaded that. It's just strange to me. People in the music industry give me blank stares when I brush off $8 million offers. I don't want 6 tour buses, 15 tractor trailers, and a jet. I don't want to play stadium shows. I don't want to be in the spotlight. I wrote the music I wrote because I was suffering with mental health and depression. These songs have connected with millions on such a deep level because they're being sung by someone feeling the words in the very moment they were being sung. No editing, no agent, no BS, just some idiot and his guitar. The style of music that we should have never gotten away from in the first place. So that being said, I have never taken the time to tell you who I actually am. Here's a formal introduction. My legal name is Christopher Anthony Lunsford. My grandfather was Oliver Anthony, and Oliver Anthony music is a dedication to not only him, but 1930s Appalachia, where he was born and raised. Dirt floors, 7 kids, hard times. At this point, I'll gladly go by Oliver because everyone knows me as such. But my friends and family still call me Chris. You can decide for yourself. Either is fine. In 2010, I dropped out of high school at the age of 17. I have a GED from Spruce Pine, North Carolina. I worked multiple plant jobs in Western North Carolina, with my last being at a paper mill in McDowell County. I worked third shift 6 days a week for $14.50 an hour. It was a living H. In 2013, I had a bad fall at work and fractured my skull. It forced me to move back home to Virginia. Due to complications from the injury, it took me 6 months or so before I could work again. From 2014 until just a few days ago, I've worked outside sales in the industrial manufacturing world. My job has taken me all over Virginia, into the Carolinas, getting to know tens of thousands of other blue-collar workers on job sites and in factories. I've spent all day, every day, for the last 10 years hearing the same story. People are so tired of being neglected, divided, and manipulated. In 2019, I paid $97,500 for the property and still owe about $60,000 on it. I am living in a 27-foot camper with a tarp on the roof that I got off of Craigslist for $750. There's nothing special about me. I'm not a good musician. I'm not a very good person. I've spent the last 5 years struggling with mental health and using alcohol to drown it. I am sad to see the world in the state that it's in, with everyone fighting with each other. I've spent many nights feeling hopeless that the greatest country on earth is quickly fading away. That being said, I hate the way the internet has divided all of us. The internet is a parasite that infects the minds of the humans and has their way with them. Hours wasted, goals forgotten, loved ones sitting at home with each other distracted all day by technology made by the hands of poor souls in sweatshops in a foreign land. When is enough enough? When are we going to fight for what is right again? Millions have died protecting the liberties we have. Freedom of speech is such a precious gift. Never in world history has the world had the freedom it currently has. Don't let them take it away from you. Just like those wandering in the desert, we have lost our way from God and let these false idols distract us and divide us. It's a shame. That's his family. That's an old family picture. And I think that was all of his introduction. I mean, that guy, he's not in this for the money. He's not in it for the money at all. It blows me away what this guy is doing and accomplishing. Let's go ahead and get to the song. Like, you all listen to this song. I'll be stopping it every so often because I'm pretty sure YouTube's going to get really mad at me if I don't do that. Plus, I want to break it down. So I hope you all listen to this ahead of time. But I'll go ahead and get this thrown up here, and we'll start. All right.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame. What the...
All right. First two verses. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for BS pay. How many people do you know that are not working themselves almost to the grave? I mean, us truckers, 70-hour weeks for some of us. The only reason we don't work more than that is because the government doesn't let us. When's the last time any of us had a 40-hour week? I mean, unless we take a day off, do we have 40-hour weeks? And it's not just truckers. I mean, my parents both worked factory jobs. They used to work 40-hour weeks until I was like 10. And then they went to 12-hour days where they had to work every other weekend. I mean, never mind the fact that back in the 50s, 60s, maybe 70s, you could make it on one income in a family. So if you had a household of, I'll use this as an example. My grandparents, household of 3 boys and 1 girl, 4 children. And my grandma was a stay-at-home mom. My grandpa worked for the Highway Patrol, not as an officer, but as a civilian, in a civilian position. I don't know. I think it was records, if I remember right. But I can almost guarantee you, work at the Highway Patrol records division, you ain't going to be able to support a whole family on that salary anymore. I mean, the only people that really work 40-hour weeks anymore are the ones that are well off. I mean, I don't know. I really, each one of these verses touched me in a different way. That's why I'm making this video in the first place. how do we get to this point where you have to have both parents in the family working? I mean, and if you don't, then you are sacrificing like no one else. Like it's crazy how much you got to sacrifice. Yeah, my wife's technically a stay-at-home mom, but she still works. She works from home. I mean, I don't know if we could even make it if she didn't work. It's sad that it's got to this point. And then the next two verses, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. You know, I used to think that the drug problem was because it's illegal. And there's probably some validity to that. But he raises an interesting point, and I could see it. Like my family, I've probably not even shared this, but alcoholism runs very deep in my family. That's why I rarely touch this stuff. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say I don't drink, but I honestly can't remember the last time I did drink. I mean, more often than not, me and my wife will get alcohol, put it in the fridge, never drink it. It expires. That's how little we drink. And it's not just alcohol, just drug use in general. Like, I don't know. It's a shame that it's turned out the way it is. Like, people do that as a coping mechanism. That's what this artist is trying to get across. Let's go on.
It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is.
How did we get to this point? How did we honestly get to this point? And as I said before, this is not just an American song. This is worldwide. Like, how did we get to this point? How is it that the rich, the well-off, the politicians, the government, I mean, they should be serving us, but instead we serve them. We serve them, and what do we get for it? I'm not saying they don't do, I don't know. It should not be this way. Our freedoms are getting trampled worldwide. I don't want this to come across that it's just a US problem. You fill in the blank. It's a problem in every single country. But let's go on.
Living in the new world with an whole soul.
I relate to this very much. If y'all haven't figured it out yet, the reason this channel is called Trucking with Liberty is because I'm a libertarian, but at the same time, I'm a libertarian because they're the closest to true liberty. Like, basically, the government should leave us alone as long as we're not intruding on someone else's rights, hurting someone else. Should the government really be bothering us? Like I said before, the government should be scared of us. It should not be us scared of the government. And name a country that you could live in where you're not scared of the government.
These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just want to have total control.
Doesn't get more true than that. I mean, these people that run for president, run for any of the offices, how many of them really truly care about helping the everyday citizen. I can't speak for Canadian or any of the other countries. I'm a U.S. citizen, but I can speak for Congress people, the members of Congress, all of them. They might have true spirits and a true dedication to do good. You know what happens to them whenever they get in office? They have to pay the political party like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Look it up if you don't believe me, for a position on a committee. If they don't do that, I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat, the party will not help them run for re-election. They will push them out of office at the very next election cycle. Never mind the scandals they'll bring up. I mean, how many times have you heard about these scandals that, quote unquote, the news media brought up? A lot of these are brought up by the actual parties here in the United States because they want someone out of office. Maybe that's why they're going so hard on Trump. He's not a true politician. I'm not saying I support Trump, but at the same time, it is awful funny. They are trying everything they can to go after the guy.
Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, 'cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich man, 'cause the rich man.
Do I really need to talk about the dollar? You know, researching this and thinking about the dollar and just the currency system nationwide. What nations are left anymore where their currency is gaining and like actually getting stronger for the everyday citizen? We're supposed to be, quote unquote, the greatest nation on earth. And Canada should be up there too. But both of our dollars, I mean, it's like 10% inflation is what I read for the US currency for every year, like the true inflation rate. So going by that, 10 years ago, our money was worth double what it is now. It's insane. Like, I mean, we go out to buy groceries, and you almost need a second job just to afford groceries. I got 4 kids. And to feed a family of 6, you almost need, honestly, that's probably what my wife's income goes to, is straight to groceries. I mean, I can't remember the last time we walked out the grocery store and spent less than $100 or $200. And we don't just go once a week. I mean, it's insane. And we try to get cheaper stuff, but at the same time, we try to get healthy stuff too. And he'll get to that point here in a second, but why in the world should vegetables cost more than chocolate? I'm sorry, but where did we go wrong? Where there are, and I think it's actually subsidized, like the junk food is almost subsidized to where we eat that instead of eating the healthy stuff.
I wish politicians would look out for miners, and not just miners on an island somewhere.
I love he threw that in there. I love he threw that in there. I'm going to read that one because that's just so impactful. I wish politicians would look out for miners and not just miners on an island somewhere. I mean, I really hope that you all realize what he is saying there. Like, oh crud, I forgot what the guy's name was, but the guy that supposedly killed himself in prison, he had the island, like, with the miners. all these elite were going to this island for, let's just leave it at, because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. Let's just say very sinful nature with minors. I mean, it's disgusting. Yeah, but that just shows you all they're in it for themselves. I mean, I think the number one clientele was the dang politicians here from the U.S. that were going to that dang island. Let's go on.
Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds.
Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. As I said earlier, junk food. This is a different angle at it. And I hadn't really thought of that part before I heard it in this song. And it took me probably 4 or 5 times to listening to this song to actually catch that part. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay of your bags of fudge rounds. It's disgusting. We got people living in the streets, as he said just before, and we're paying for obese people on welfare to buy junk food. I mean, what's going on here? What's going on here? We send millions or billions of dollars to Ukraine, but we got people living in the streets. And he was talking about that in a YouTube video that I watched before this. Like, that, it's just disgusting. You know, I'll get to that. We're going to come back to that part because I got an article that actually talks about the junk food and how much of that goes from the EBT or food stamps cars here in the U.S. But let's go on.
Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, because all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down.
Okay. I hope I'm not misinterpreting this one. Let's just say this part, I am not quite as certain what he's meaning by this verse. I really hope that he releases a video breaking this down. I'm going to say what I think he's meaning, and I hope it's not incorrect. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground because all this country does is keep kicking them down. I mean, I just uploaded a short. I'm still waiting on the police footage of me getting harassed by the police for walking. I mean, maybe he's talking about that, or maybe he's just talking about the government in general doesn't care about us anymore, almost. I mean, they're all out for themselves. Meanwhile, the everyday citizen, what do they care if they die? I mean, it's just disgusting. I think that's what he's meaning. Hopefully I didn't misinterpret that, but it's just disgusting.
Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world.
I ain't gonna lie. About every day I wake up, or let's just say every year, it's like, how's this keep getting worse? How do we keep losing our rights? How do we keep getting so dang divided? I mean, I don't know if it's the technology. I don't know if it's the government. But we should not be afraid of each other. We should not be fighting against each other. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I don't care if you're Jewish, Muslim, Christian. Why do we have to be so dang divided? I mean, hopefully this doesn't come off the wrong way. But in some ways, September 12th, 2001, I saw the greatest in this country, in the US. September 12th, 2001. Quote unquote thugs were helping out police. The everyday citizen, no one cared if you're a dang Democrat. No one cared if you're a dang Republican. I was in 6th grade. And I even saw it. I mean, you had Jews, Christians, Muslims all helping each other. You did have these crazy people that were going after the Muslims just because these extremists that every single religion has did this vile act. But for the vast majority of people, if you were an American, that's all we cared about. We wanted to help our own. How do we get so far away from that? And why does it take a dang terrorist attack to bring us that close? If there's one thing that I'm sorry for this country for, it's that. We should not be divided. I mean, and that's the media and the government kind of tries to split us. It should not be that way. And I know that's what he was meaning. Some of the articles in videos I saw from this guy, he wants us together. He wants us together. He does not want us split. We are better off together. I mean, as long as you're not hurting someone else, impeding on someone else's rights, yeah, that's primarily a libertarian idea, but I think that's truly an everyday citizen idea. You go up to anyone and ask them if they just want to be left alone. I bet you they'd say, yeah, just let me do me. As long as I'm not hurting anyone, why do I need to be bothered? Let's go on.
With an whole soul, these rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just want to have total control.
All the politicians, all the leaders of the world, it's all they want. That's all they want. They want total control. Especially the federal government or national government in some of these other countries. How many of them really care about the everyday citizen? I mean, shoot. I had to, I think it was last year or the year before, I had to call my state rep. I was able to get a hold of her and actually talk to her. Would I have got that help from the national or federal rep? I doubt it. I mean, they don't care about us anymore. They care about us every 4 years or 6 years, whenever the election cycle is. And then they're out here campaigning. But do they care about us the year after election? Shoot, the day after the election. I doubt it.
Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and then I don't think you know, but I know that you do, cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, cause the rich men, north of Richmond. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay.
I mean, I don't know how you can say it any better than what that song puts it. I mean, it summarizes up real good for me why I'm a libertarian. I'm not pushing anyone to be a libertarian. This is not a libertarian song. As I said before, this is not a Republican, Democrat, libertarian song at all. It just puts it in perspective. This is an everyday citizen song. That's what I love about it. Let's get to the food stamps and the junk food, because that's where I wanted to go next, because that's something that he brought up that I never thought about before. Let's get that pulled up. All right. Anyone wanting to take a guess what percentage of food stamps is spent on junk food? Here's the dollar figure: $27 billion in 2022 here in the United States was spent on junk food. I mean, that's disgusting. I mean, if you're on food stamps, why can't the government at least, if you want junk food, fine, but why do we need to pay for your junk food? I mean, maybe I'm a bigot for thinking that, but he raised a good point in that song. Let me get that verse again. Lord, we got folks in the street ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. There you go, it's highlighted. Zooming out to junk food more broadly, the study found that 22.6% of a SNAP's household grocery budget or bill is spent on a combination of sweetened beverages, prepared desserts, salty snacks, candy, and sugar, while non-SNAP households spend 19.7% of their grocery budget on these items. I learned something new. Before tonight, I didn't even know that food stamps people spent more money on the junk food. I mean, imagine how many more people that we could help if we just eliminated that. How many people would be on the streets hungry? How many beggars would we have on the corners begging for money? I don't know. This song like incited something in me, and I can't even put it into words. It's just disgusting that we got people living on the streets. You know, where I live, you could barely go around a street corner without seeing someone begging for money. And you cannot tell me those, like maybe there's some that are frauds. I don't think very many of them are frauds. It's just disgusting. It's 3% more. I mean, maybe that's not much, but if we're going to pay for someone's grocery bill, why can't we just have standards? How hard is that? Like, why should we be adding to the health epidemic, the obese epidemic? And this is not fat shaming or just whatever you want to call it. I don't even know what the politically correct term is. It's just insanity. Anyone that eats junk food, and I'm not saying like if you seldom eat it, like I'm not talking to you, but if you eat it often, you're going to gain weight. It's going to cause health problems. You don't got to be a rocket scientist to know that. What's that going to do to the health system in any country? It's going to raise the rates. If you got private insurance like we do here in the United States for now, I mean, that's going to raise your private health insurance rates. over in Canada and some of the other countries that have universal health care, it's probably going to raise your taxes. I don't see how it couldn't. If you're in the hospital more, someone's got to pay for that. I don't know. I hope this song actually incites people to push for change. If y'all like this, leave a comment, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.